Hello guys, welcome back to my channel, and in this video we're going to talk about team building for new players. This is not going to be like my previous team building videos where I just shared generic tips on how to build teams and gave some examples. This is going to be tailored for people that started recently. Could be a couple of months ago, could be 1 month ago, a couple of weeks ago, maybe even just a few days ago, kind of depends. But as long as you have white because of the special guide missions, you can kind of follow these themes and these tips that I'm going to share with you. So that's the plan. I obviously decided to make this video because some people requested it, but I also saw a lot of people asking for the same themes and people saying that they are stuck in the early stages, that they cannot really push to get more tickets for UREC. So I wanted to share some tips and some compositions that you can replicate fairly easily so that you can push and get the tickets you need. So that's the plan. Hopefully I'm not too late. I should have done this a lot earlier, so I'm sorry for that. But I think you still have like 3-4 days so that you can push and get the tickets to max out Urek and also Gustang. So that's the idea behind it. And we're going to use only units that you have available or that you will pull for with the sums that you can gain in the meantime. So that's the plan. We're going to start with the first team. Since in the special guide mission, they force you basically to pick white as your first carry, then we're going to obviously use him in our team one. Now, the best units to go with white are a few. We want to have Reflejo. This guy will need a little bit of swiftness to work. You will have to run him with Bari, and you will need Revolution 5. So you kind of want that because with that, it can get a lot of energy to keep up his damage taken cap on the special move. So it definitely wants that. Is really, really important. And also a decent amount of swiftness is key. So make sure not to ignore your true essence. I saw a lot of people that ignored it. That's a really huge mistake, guys. Go ahead and get as much swiftness as you can. That's going to be super important. So Reflejo is one unit. Reflejo works really well with grouping. So we are going to go ahead and use Anna. Now, Anna doesn't need Rainbow 5 or anything. She can beat 0 dupes. She's just there for the bunny that is going to spawn at the beginning, group the enemies up, and then Reflejo can keep them there, and White can one-shot them because they're grouped. So that's the first 3 units of this team. Then for the last two, kind of open. Normally you use SSR Hayura so that she can give that second life in case is needed. And also since enemies will be grouped up, she can hit multiple ones with her special move that is going to block energy recovery. So in general, she's a really good unit. She's also going to provide some energy for white, some attack speed, some attack buffs, lots of stuff. So she is a really, really good pick. For the last slot, kind of depend on what you have. If you already have SSR plus High Yura, because you pulled for her in the first phase of the anniversary, or whatever you got her somewhere else, then you can deploy her here. It will be fine. Not the best, but definitely really, really solid. And this could be your first team. Let's say you don't have SSR plus Ayura, not a problem. You can go ahead and use, I don't know, Kunagero. You can go ahead and use Nare. Those are all fine options. You might even just say, okay, we don't want to go mono purple, even though they are exceptional with the SSR units they have. We can also go ahead and pick, I don't know, we can use Mamanak, for example. She's another unit that people normally have built. I would place her somewhere where she's not gonna get aggro in the early stages because she's gonna die otherwise. You want Reflejo to be able to stun them so that Mamanak can survive reliably and provide energy for white. That's kind of the thing. White is gonna work from orange 4, maybe even earlier. You don't need to have him Rainbow 5, is obviously better, but he can work already, is not a problem. If you have him Rainbow 1, Rainbow 2, don't worry, you don't even have to feel pressure to get into Rainbow 5. It will work okay in the beginning stages of the game. Now, you can build him two ways. You can either go full damage or you can go resistances. Now, I would recommend going resistances. Let me see what my, okay, now my white is sort of a bossing setup, but not even that much. So mine is running crit damage and magic pierce. But what I would run on him, and I wonder if I have that as the preset, I think I do. No, okay, it's a Bari with full damage again. But you can run a slot 4 magic resistance, slot 5 physical resistance. He has enough damage buffs in his kit to deal more than enough damage in the early stages. So you can go full resistances, also in the subnodes, wherever you can, so that you can get to 99% resistances. Make sure it is 99, because if it is like 90, you're going to take 10 times the damage compared to a 99%. So definitely make sure you get this to 99% in both. And it will be super tanky, even if you're facing enemies that will hit you no matter what, like the hard or other units that have map wide damage. You can still tank them and kill them. So that is really important. I think in the early stages that will work super well. It can almost solo all the enemies. If you go full damage, it will start dying out of nowhere. Maybe with Mamanak, it's not going to be that big of a deal, but normally it could die. So if you see that your white dies without doing anything, try the resistance route, go full resistance, and you will see that it's going to survive and is still going to do a lot of damage. So that's one thing I wanted to mention. Now, for second team, you're going to pull for Urek as well. So you're going to get white from the non-stop SSR for beginner, so the non-stop SSR plus for beginner, and then you're going to pull on Urek with your Suspendium and your Black Market. You can use easily Urek even if he's not maxed out. So we're going to do that. We're going to have as a second team an Urek team. It can be zero dupes, it can be red, it can be orange, it can be rainbow, obviously. But yeah, definitely as a second team is going to be massive. You don't even need to give him too many supports. He's going to be fine, even if he's lower dupes. He's just a monster. I would also recommend going with the resistance route a little bit, at least for slot 4. But yeah, it's not too important. What is really good with him is going to be Anniversary Iwa. You won't have a Rainbow 5 at this point, I would say, especially if you're just starting out. But it is totally fine because they work well together. When this guy is going low HP, then is going to be healed up by Hiwa, by her passive, and is going to, again, thanks to his passive, survive a lot longer. So this is really a good combination. You can add also Blank, but you will not really have her duped up, I think, and it's not a priority, but she could work okay. If you have a Kunagero that you're not using on Team 1, you can also use him for the AoECC. Not mandatory, just okayish. You can use Mamanak if you have a Yura there or you're using Kunagero there, then you can also do something like this. She's going to be fine, but she will waste a few passive stacks from Anniversary Iwa. You don't normally want to have too many units when you're running Anniversary Iwa in a team, because otherwise they're going to waste her passive stacks. But this is kind of the idea for the second team. You don't need too many units. Just give him heals and give him some sort of additional survivability. That would be more than enough. He has a lot in his kit. He's really, really good. You could also add Nare if you want. She's also a nice addition. But again, make sure you're not wasting the passive stacks of Anniversary. That's key. And yeah, that's your second team. So with that, you can reach floor 50 and you should have, unless you're crazy unlucky, enough summons to get Urek to Rainbow 5. So that's really, really important. Then we have the third team. That's going to be a bit annoying because on Nonstop 2, you're going to pick the beginner ones. You're going to pick Anniversary 1 so that you can get to red and you can continue the special guide missions. So that's okay. She's a unit you need to get to Rainbow 5 anyway, but you don't have a third DPS. Now, in the third nonstop, you can pick a unit like Eden, but it will get to like green 3, blue 1 maybe. So not really that reliable, can be used, but it's going to be tricky, and you need absolutely Anniversary or Rainbow 5 for that to work consistently. You could still link Anak to an Evan, for example, and you could do a team like this. This is not going to be the team I'm going to recommend, but still I wanted to show it. So we could do something like this. Let me see where Eden is at here. And we have, okay, let me also do it like this maybe. So we have Evan with the highest attack, so that Mamanak links to him, and he can chain his special move back to back to back and have uptime on immortality for the whole team all the time. That's really important. Now, to get this guy with the highest attack, you definitely need to, one, not give the slot 1 to Eden or give him a +0 slot 1. That's quite important. And you need to have one link 20 levels above, and you will place Evan in there. And you have to give the slot 1 +20 to Evan. That is really, really key. And yeah, once you do that, Evan will likely have more attack than your Eden, especially if Eden is not heavily duped up. And that's going to be fine, survivability wise. But then you have the issue that the damage is going to lack. So for the last slot, you can either add more damage or more damage. There's really no option, to be honest. You could go maybe a Sharon to give even more energy and survivability for Evan. I wouldn't say it's necessary. You could go Hugo, but she doesn't have like grouping in this team, so she's not really gonna do well. But it is a possibility. You can also look at other elements. Maybe you can go, let me see the SSR units, because we have, okay, I have a filter, I don't know why I was not using it. We have units like Vivi, that could be a good option. Where is she? But is kind of whatever as well. Not really a fan of it, but can work. But yeah, so this is not really a team I would recommend early on. It's fine, it can win, but if Eden is not duped up, it's gonna be very annoying to play. If you're forced to do it, you can do it, but I'd rather not. So if you're summoning on Hugo, that is the unit I recommended in the non-stop anniversary banner, then you can use Hugo as a DPS. Let me go ahead and other in. And she doesn't have too many requirements. It kind of depends on how high you ever. If she's at least red 1, she has the passive that lasts for 10 seconds. And that's going to be massive for survivability. And also damage-wise, she's going to be okay-ish. Then you can add some more units to this team. One very mandatory one, Easy Rank. She can beat 0 dupes, is not a problem, but is needed for the grouping. That is really, really important. Then you can add a few things. You could add Evan for survivability when there is the occasional downtime on Hugo Shield. Then it can kind of fill those gaps. That would be okay. You can also add BAM to provide more grouping from Yang, more uptime on her special move, and also more uptime on Evan as well. And for the last lot, it's kind of up to you. Whatever you have available. If you have a 0 dupes, Augustus is going to be fine. Even more grouping to keep that uptime on the grouping as much as possible, and a lot of debuffs that are going to benefit Hugo. So that is fine. That can work. You can also go ahead and add Sharon. She's going to link in this case to Hugo, and that's fine. And is going to make Hugo survive a lot more, generate a lot more energy, so her uptime on the shield is a lot stronger. And even if she is like purple, maybe even blue in this case, she could still win. So this would be a fairly decent third team that should get you easily to team like to floor 70. But let's say you don't have Sharon, let's go for another option here. Yeah, I think either Augustus or Sharon Zero Dupes will work. I'm thinking of other units in the yellow element, but maybe we can also look at the other ones. Well, we did not use Mamanak. Again, you could use her in Team 2, or you can use her again here. She's obviously going to work as well, so that's a decent option. I would say we can do it. If you really want and you can try hard and get Evan with the highest attack, that would be dope, but it's not needed. Especially if you're, let's say, if your Yuga is at least purple 1, you should not need that trick. So you can just connect Mamanak to Yugo, and it should be okay. So that is more or less what you need to do. It will take you to to floor 70-ish. So that's fine. Actually, let me also replace this guy with the better variant with high Yura. So let me add her in. Then we have the fourth team. Now this is where things get a bit trickier, because if you're free to play, you started recently, okay, you can get these 3 teams because one is with Nonstop 1 for the beginners. Urek, you're going to pull on him. Hugo is from the anniversary Nonstop. That's great. Who are we going to build for Team 4? We have a few options. You either pull on the XSR Plus banners for an SSR Plus unit that can act as a DPS, On my free-to-play, I pulled for Kaiser. She did okay-ish at times, not the best, but it was fine. We're going to get Dawon soon. She could be a fourth unit, but that's when Urek team is going to be, like Urek banner is going to be gone, so not really applicable. You could pull for Cherry. Now, Cherry has an issue. She needs Irang. Without grouping, Cherry is kind of meh, but if you remove Irang from Yugo team, it can still work if Yugo is Rainbow 5, but it's going to be annoying. So it kind of depends in that scenario. But let's say if you really want, you can make a team with Cherry. You could basically use the same, maybe without Mamanak, but you can use Cherry and then you can add a frontline unit and it would be fine with this setup. But okay, whatever. Let's say we're not going to go for Cherry. Let's say you already are on day 8, you already started pulling for Gustang, and you have maybe even a lower dupes Gustang. You can use him as a DPS. In that case, I would remove Mamanak from Team 3, because if this guy is not maxed out, it will need energy, and it will need also a lot of survivability. And Mamanak provides both, because it will protect Gustam from assassinations together with his Bari effect. That's going to be pretty good. And then you can have this Nare that we have on Team 2. Since this guy is likely already maxed out, you can now use Nare here. It doesn't really need her that much. And hopefully, in the meantime, you also got this unit to Rainbow 5, but at that point, we're going to talk maybe for the 5th team. We'll see. Maybe also for an alternative 4th team. Kind of depends. But for now, let's say we're going to go with something like this. If you also pulled for David, it doesn't need to have a lot of like copies on him. Maybe, I don't know, blue, purple. I think you might have him already. And this guy is going to provide energy for him and also Nare potentially. That's going to be pretty good. You could also use Hockney instead if you already pulled on normal banner and you have him purple, red at least. This guy will provide initial energy to Gustang and also a bit more energy throughout the fight. But that initial energy is going to be crucial so that he can start his special move a lot earlier. So that's one thing you can do. You can also add just a normal stall tank. Make sure she doesn't have more attack than Gustan, but she shouldn't. And you can play stuff more or less like this so that she doesn't get attacked too early. Because without units that can provide survivability to Mamanak, she tends to be a bit too squishy. So that is a potential setup you can run. It's a bit overkill when this guy is maxed out, but definitely acceptable when this guy is not. So these are potential 4 teams. The third one, now that we removed Mamanak, again, you can add the 0 dupes Augustus, you can add the 0 dupes Sharon, up to you. Sharon would also be a great addition here, maybe instead of Nare or instead of Hockney, one of the two. And now let's use Augustus there. So this could be a very good setup when this guy is not maxed out. When he is, you can remove some units. Sharon might be a bit overkill, especially together with the Mamanak. But yeah, when he's not maxed, you definitely need as much energy as you can get. And this would be a good 4th team. Now, an alternative 4th team that you could deploy would be an add-on team if you manage to get him to red, let's say. That would be decent enough damage to justify running a team with him. And that would be the normal team with Mamanak, Addon, and Anniversary Iwa. The same thing applies, so you don't want too many units because they're going to waste passive stacks of Anniversary Iwa for no reason. Unless they're really good units, like a Sharon wouldn't waste stacks because obviously she has the damage taken cap on the special move. She's not going to go below 5% that often, and it's fine if every now and then she uses one stack of Anniversary was passive. So, but let's say we're not going to use Sharon. This is a good setup. This unit, Anniversary One, needs Revolution 5 for this to work, and she needs to be the highest attack so that Mamanak links to her. She's going to spam the energy decrease on the enemies, which is a great disruption. And every time she does so, she's going to get a passive stack that will give a 2-second invincibility when an ally goes below 5% HP. So that's massive. That's great. So ability of this team is really solid. You will need Runda on Anniversary Iwa. You will need L on add-on. This way, this guy will have a lot more damage because it will spam more basic attacks that have max HP damage and will spam more special moves thanks to the energy generated by the basic attacks. Also, having Runda on Anniversary Iwa is going to be massive as well because of the extra energy that she provides to everybody here. So, massive, massive synergy. And at that point, you can place them all on the same row so that Runda can affect them all. Really, really solid team at that point. And I kind of forgot to also talk about the builds for the other units. You kind of have this one for Team 5. That could actually be a Team 4. As you can see, there is overlapping of units just because you might want to create this one if you have the conditions for that. So again, Anniversary Iwa, Rainbow 5. If you don't, you cannot really make it. I'm just going to show it here again as an alternative. And for Team 2, that I forgot to mention, we have Urek. Urek you can build in two ways, actually more than two. But let's say you have, at the very least, the distinction between a resistance hybrid build, which is slot 4 magic resistance, slot 5 physical pierce. Your goal here is to get at least 99% magic resistance. You don't care about the physical. I have 0. This 29.25 is coming from the normal equipment here. So I have 0 in the substats. I don't care because it's going to get an 80% physical resistance from the Revolution 4, and that's going to be up all the time thanks to the max cooldown reduction node. So that is important. And then you focus just on physical pierce and crit damage as high as you can. Crit rate, it will also get 80%, so you don't need it. And that's totally fine. That's one way to build them. The other way is totally disregard the resistance route. You will only get the 100% resistance on physical because, again, it's going to get it from the kit. And then you're going to go all in on crit damage and physical pierce. This has slightly more damage, not even that much, but you risk dying even a lower deficit a little bit. The good thing about the resistance build is that up until 450, maybe even 500 deficit, is going to work really well. You will see the improvement that is going to be massive. If you go the full damage, it will act the same basically at every deficit. If it's going to win 300 deficit, it's going to win also 600 because he has max HP damage and his durability is exactly the same. He's not going to die more quickly at 600 deficit because he's already squishy as hell. He's already getting one-shotted. So that's the main difference. If you are at super high deficits, which you are not if you're watching this video, I would say, then the full damage build is better. But in all other scenarios, I would say going hybrid is the way. You need to get as much magic resistance as you can in the subnodes. As you can see, this one doesn't even have any, but I didn't need that. Also, this one didn't have that. And this one has the 40, this one has another 13. So with just that and my 3 essence, because I still have some magic resistance rolls, I didn't need to put anything in accuracy, basically. With that, I could get easily to more than 99% and still get decent amounts of physical pierce. The crit damage is not that high, but I mean, again, it deals a shit ton of damage anyway. So that's one way to build this guy. The others can just go Barry. You don't really need anything. For Team 3, Hugo has a few different ways. If your starting evasion is good enough that adding 40% on top of it is going to put you at least 200 to 300 above the enemy accuracy, then Alokaz is a great option. Otherwise, just go L or Runda. Both of them will work fine. The most important thing here to keep in mind is that you need effect resistance on slot 4. She doesn't, like, the most important thing is that she doesn't get crowd controlled. If she gets stunned, paralyzed, whatever, it's going to be a pain because if she cannot cast the active skills or the special move, she cannot refresh the shield and she might die. You definitely want effect resistance. You don't need effect hit because she has it in the Revolution subnodes. Just focus on effect resistance. And then you go physical pierce in the last one. That's about it. You go full damage. You don't need resistances at all on a unit like Hugo. You don't even care too much about accuracy because the special move always lands. It's just the active skill that might miss, and that's a good portion of her damage. So definitely, if you can, go also some accuracy around there, but you should be fine in the early stages. Not really a problem. Other units like Evan, especially if you don't have him Rainbow 5, which you probably don't, use him with Barry so that he can get to the first special move almost guaranteed. Barry also for Bam, Barry also for Irang. For a Goose Goose, I would say L, even though it's kind of bugged, but you can run Barry as well. It's okay. He has a good passive already for survivability. You could run Barry on top of it. For Team 4, we have Barry for Gooseneck as well. You just go full damage. You go crit damage and you go Pierce. That's it. My set kind of stinks. I did not reroll anything. I didn't even bother to give him a set that had 4 starting stat. I would have to do it. For now, I didn't. But yeah, this guy just has crit damage, physical pierce, you go full damage. This is only when he's maxed out though, because he has the 80% resistance increase from the revolution that's going to be up all the time. If you don't have that, in the early stages, you might want to run him with resistances so that even if he gets hit, he's not going to get one-shotted, and the rest of the team will have an easier time keeping him alive. So that's definitely a possibility, and I would recommend him. Like, I would recommend that if he's not at least orange 4. Like, if he's 3 red or below, go ahead and use the resistance build. If he's orange 4 or above, I would go with the damage build. That's the logic, pretty much. And for Eden, it doesn't scale off of that, like off of attack at all. So you can go just resistance. You go magic resistance, you go physical resistance. That's at first. You could run then just the effect resistance here. Could be more beneficial so it doesn't get stunned. I think it's a good idea in general. But I still having on resistances, I could easily go effect resistance and still getting above 99% because at the moment he has 128, so it's kind of wasted. It's not that excess resistances are wasted, they are only effective up to 99%, but the stuff above, so the percentages above, are still useful to mitigate pierce from enemies and resistance decrease. So if the enemy applies a 20% resistance decrease, I go down to 108, which is still 99% effective. So that's good. And yeah, so he wants L. Then we talked about Runda for Anniversary. Where is she? You could run Bari, to be honest, especially if she is in Team 2 and she's not Rainbow 5. But Runda would be really good. And that would be like either effect resistance, but she already has it in the subnodes. I don't care too much about effect it on her because the energy decrease is still applied anyway. Some other debuffs might not, but it's not the end of the world, I think. I'm looking for that, I think, a bit in the subnodes. I don't think I have that much. No, okay, I have 0 in the subnodes as well. I only have the 80 from the origin orb. So that's kind of sad. But I have 515 effect resistance, so she's not going to get stunned, and she can keep chaining her special move. But this is kind of open to you. If you want to go affect it, you can do it. If you want to go resistances, you can do it. No problem. Going resistances will be better probably in the early stages because you will struggle getting all these units to 99% without resistances on the Essence. So definitely I would recommend slot 4 magic resistance, especially at the beginning. And that should be pretty much all. The other units is kind of whatever. So yeah, let's say you decide to go also Team 5 with this kind of setup. So we don't have access to Anniversary 1 Team 2. We don't have access to Mamanak on Team 4. Team 4 would still function thanks to Sharon. But at this point, you should have, like if you get to 5 teams, you already maxed out Gustang as well, pretty much. So you can easily kind of reduce the power level of this team. You could also just add an array here. If you want to leave it 0 dupes Sharon, is fine, you can do it. Otherwise, with Gustang, you can run literally a lot of things. You could run a beta that is going to do some early grouping and is going to act as a stall tank like Data Machine, but he also has a barrier break, which is pretty helpful. And then you can literally also just run frontline units here. and it will be okay, because all that Gustein needs is protection and units that will distract the enemy team. This would be an already okay-ish setup. The best one that I don't expect people to be able to pull off would include Alphine maxed out, because she's going to protect Gustav from assassination thanks to a revolution. She's going to do that anyway, even if she's not maxed out, because she's still going to conceal the last attack unit. So assassins will not hit your Gustav. So that could be worth maybe adding instead of Data Machine, even if you ever have very low dupes, because of the early conceal. The rest of the kit will be harder to use at 0 dupes. Still kind of okay, I guess. But definitely when she's maxed out, your whole team is going to be invisible. So units that dash will not move. They don't have any targets. They will just attack the fox. And she will just spam the fox like crazy. Really, really good. Like insane distraction, insane grouping. It's really, really a great combo. So I like it. Even if she's 0 dupes again, you can use her. So you could do some sort of setup like this. Then for Urek team, that is a bit weaker, like on the weaker end now, you can definitely add, again, a Sharon if you have her, obviously, really good. You can add, as we said before, a Kunagero, obviously, really good for the crowd control, because this guy is going to group them up, and then this guy is going to decrease defense to hit enemies that are within special move and stuff like that. So really solid. And let me see if we have any additional interesting units that we could run, especially with work. There are not too many early options, obviously. We could go Leror if you have him. Really solid, really good. You can also run at 0 dupes Revolution Bomb. Really good. If you have the XSR plus Garam, absolutely go ahead and run her as well. Absolutely amazing for the HP recovery block. If you are in a case where you need HP recovery block on Team 4, you don't have too many options, especially if you don't have the data units that you probably don't. They're going to rerun them soon, but at that point, you can just replace Nare or Hockney with an Anak. That's going to be really good. You might want to add some heal, like HP recovery block in some teams. So I would recommend keeping this type of units if you have them, especially XSR plus Garam, in the bench, so that when needed you can deploy her. If a team is struggling because of heals, you just remove a unit that doesn't provide too much to the team. Like maybe team 3, you could remove Augustus. That provides a lot, but even if he's not there, it's not going to be the end of the world. And you can add XSR plus Garam instead. You can add her in team 2. You don't need 5 units in team 2. If your work is maxed, it's just going to wipe out everything. So that could stay open just in case. You can add her in team 1. At this point, I would probably remove SSR Hayura, so this one, I think. Or you could remove the other one. Kind of up to you, but I think I would remove the SSR one. On team 4, where the slot where we have Spear Baranak. Team 5, just other, and that's okay. So yeah, that's kind of the idea for these teams. So if you have these units like 3 red Eden or lower, if you have a Rainbow 5 Anniversariwa, Rainbow 5 Urek, Rainbow 5 Gustang, hopefully Rainbow 5 Yugo as well, and Rainbow 5 White, these could be the 5 teams. And I also hope I gave you the order at which you can build them and explained a little bit how you can also build the units so that they perform. Let me know if you have any questions. Hopefully this can help you guys get unstuck in your current situation and push some more floors so that you can max out Urek as well. So I wish you guys luck. I will see you on the day of the live stream. Maybe I can do the kit reveal video for Cha or the first impression video for Cha before I go live. But I will be on a road trip from like basically August 10 to August 12. So I will not be releasing any additional video in the meantime. But I will definitely make a post when Cha's kit is revealed, just to give you guys a very rough first impression. Yeah, that's about all. Thanks so much for watching. I will see you in the next one. Bye.